Okay, give me 1 second. Let me do something here. Okay. I think I forgot to clean my camera off. Oh, that's much better. And now I'm going to cover you with my thumb. The camera's still kind of blurry, isn't it? Pick it up the light. It is warm. I got my AC blasting. Okay, we'll wait a little bit, see if we get anybody else here. We already got one on here. I forgot to, last week, I feel horrible. Last week, I said I was going, because 4th of July fell on, what was it, Tuesday? And then forgot what I had going on Wednesday, and I was supposed to do live stream on Thursday, and I just, work got away from me, and it was unreal last week. And I should have put it up something. Let me know if it bugs you guys. If I definitely need to set a schedule, maybe we'll go a little later, because what I'm running into at this 6 o'clock is I continue to work, or I do things after, not on my own stuff. I'm continuing to do things a part of work, and I'm having to. I do a lot of picking up and delivering cars for customers around this time. So if 7 would work better, it might work a little better for me. But let me know. Does it really matter when I go live, or if I even post anything to let you know? Be nice to know. Well, you can see behind me, I got a 6.0 torn down. Been meaning to get this truck in the shop for some time, and I actually got it in and cab up. I've been working on a video. You guys wanted a video of detailed of how to pull a cab, so what is all involved. And I've gone over a lot of it, but I've got one more truck relatively soon that I've got to do head job on. And so I think on that one, I'm going to get more video, or maybe I can do it with this one. I don't know. More video of me actually doing some of the disassembly, rather than just saying, you know, this is what you need to disconnect. These. So that's the goal. I'm working on. I want to make a good video, something that's not, you know, extremely boring to watch, but at least is detailed, because sometimes instructional videos can be quite boring. And I don't, it's, even though I've watched and read instructional stuff for years, sometimes the way people can do it can make it unbearable to watch. So on this truck behind me, any 6.0 that I tear down and do head gaskets, I basically do cylinder heads anymore with O-rings. What I found from all the 6.0 heads that I've done is, when you take them in to have them checked, they all have some kind of hairline crack somewhere that is questionable. And I don't particularly like taking the chance of getting the cylinder head machined, and then having it O-ringed, and taking a chance at that point, because whenever I know I can get cylinder heads from a place, ready to go. I mean, they're ready to go on the engine. So I've got to. I said I don't have a good relationship, but I have a lot of trust in the place where I go, that I get a lot of cylinder heads ready to go, O-ringed, ready to go on the engine. This one I should have had the heads on really going on tonight, but I pulled this one down. Stupid me, I didn't even think about it. This is a 2007 truck, and I pulled the cylinder head off, and it is a 20 millimeter dowel block and a 20 millimeter dowel head. So it's sound like a truck's blowing up my driveway. So I have 18 millimeter dowel heads here that I have on hand, and because that's the most common. But this and you can use the 18 on a 20 millimeter block if it doesn't have the updated cylinder head. So the newer 20 millimeter cylinder head, the rocker box actually bolts on different. It uses, so the rocker box on the newer style 20 millimeter head uses 13 millimeters in the valve, under the valve cover, to hold the rocker box to the cylinder head. I believe so what I'm looking for. The rocker arms, I think something gets moved, but anyway, it throws enough off that I don't want to take a chance of putting those 18 millimeters on and it not working out. So I'm waiting for 20 millimeter heads to show up, and then I'll get back going on this. It sucks because it puts me almost a week behind, and it's just 20 millimeter heads are not that common. But then again, I think I say that and I'm looking at a block that's got 20 millimeter. They're becoming more common. Used to, they were not. What else? I was wondering, I meant to do last week, I wanted to talk about the video that I put out, what you all thought about it, and did you actually enjoy it? I enjoyed making it. I enjoyed watching it. I didn't normally, during editing process, I won't enjoy what I'm watching whenever I edit it. It makes it tough. That one I could keep going back and to do editing to make sure things were right. It wasn't, I felt like I was making something good. I felt like I was making something that I'm actually proud of and that I enjoyed watching. So hopefully that came out in the video. I think it did. The analytics of the video that shows me people watching is actually been increasing faster than most of my other videos that I've put out in a very long time. So hopefully that's a good indication. And my goal is to get back to more diesel content and not just general repair, because that's majority of you guys want to see diesel repair, and primarily 6-liter. But I mean, eventually 6-liter repair, I'll beat the dead horse as much as I can. I want to improve as much as I can, try to make things better for everybody so we can make a more reliable 6-liter, but eventually I'll probably have to move on to something else. Hopefully 6-7 power stroke, something like that. So today, I figure I'd let you guys see. I have to do some cleaning on these cylinder heads. Hopefully my AC is not too loud. But I was going to show you what I do. Some people would wipe this off with brake clean and throw the new gasket on, but I'm not that person. I'm very, in my head, this needs to be extremely clean, just like the cylinder head. That way the new head gasket goes down and we get the best seal we can. Also, the blue that is on the head gasket, I think you can see some of it up here. You can watch one of my videos where I put one of these on. The blue coating on the head gasket is like a sealant, so it helps seal the surfaces so oil and coolant don't seep through. And so anywhere that touches the cylinder head, I want it to seal really well. So a nice, clean, smooth surface. I mean, don't get me wrong, we don't want it polished, but we want it smooth. So I'm going to go over the process now, and you guys can watch it. Okay, I'm gonna go over some of the tools that I use. See if I can do this better so you guys can actually see me. Some of the tools I use. Ford, years ago, I bought it because they were saying that they wanted you to use a brass scraper to clean the sealant surfaces. That way you didn't gouge. That basically knock off any of the rust or junk that builds up. This works to knock off that stuff, but it doesn't do a great job at really getting some of the raised surfaces, because you'll get some rust buildup or carbon buildup where the head gasket failed. You're going to get areas there that it's like concrete. You know, it's really solid, and the best thing that I found is using a razor blade and basically just scraping at it until you get it smooth. And you'll see me during the process, you'll see me constantly rub my hand over the areas that I'm working, and that's basically feeling for any high spots. Low spots you can't do a whole lot about. Obviously, if it's too much of a low spot in an area, we'd want to have it addressed, but some low spots may actually be because you have high spots around it. So first thing I'm going to do is I like to shove rags up here in this rocker box, or lifter valley, or whatever you want to call it here. That way any of the junk that I scrape off doesn't go down in the lifters. These engines have enough problems with lifters. We don't need to add to the problems. Another thing you can do when you have the engine off is, the cylinder head off, doing this work, you can check your lifters, make sure all your clips are in place. If you got one clip that's jumped out, it's usually a good indication that lifter is getting ready to fail, and right now is a good time to replace. The front ones are real easy to replace. The rear ones are not. You actually have to pull the transmission, pull the rear cover, and get the branch tube out of the way to remove those. But if it's one of the front ones, it's relatively easy. Okay, so we've got that. I'm going to put the cover back over the high pressure pump. I removed that cover just to inspect to make sure that the updated fitting has been done. I mean, it's, what is that? 8 bolts, cover comes off, get a new gasket, and double check that the fitting's done. That way It's one less thing you have to worry about. Okay. So then we'll do a little cleaning. You don't really need, sometimes I'll do brake cleaning right now too, but really we're just wiping off any fluid. I want to soak up any fluid that has gone down to the pistons here. Before I get too far in cleaning, I'll also use a suction gun or tool to suck out oil from the head bolt or head stud holes. That way that doesn't ooze out whenever you go to put your bolts in or your studs. Engine has a lot of junk. It didn't have a major oil leak, but it just had enough. I need to actually replace the oil cooler too. I should have done that before I pulled the cylinder heads, but use that as a little ledge to. Okay, so we'll start back here. You can see does a good job somewhat of knocking things off, but not the greatest. But I will agree that the brass is better than a metal one because the metal one can gouge and cause other problems. Yeah, this truck I'd say has had head gasket failure for some time because all the area around the coolant passages around the cylinders are all black. Not saying that's exactly indication, but you really don't want it to be black. You'd rather it be metal, you know. There's a bad area right here. I'm gonna have to keep working this area over and over. Between the cylinders is usually a tough area too. I don't know if it's when the soot gets in there. But it is. This one acts like it doesn't want to clean up. But I do hit it with a sanding block and some 800 grit sandpaper. I mean, you do 800 is about as aggressive as I'd want to get. Personally, I mean, maybe 600 would be fine too, but I usually use anything from 800 to 2000. And you can even do 800 and then go to 2000. Which wouldn't be, maybe I'll have to do that too on this one. This one's looking like it's not going to be a fun one. This whole area right there is high, so I'm just going to have to keep working at it. And I will pay attention. I don't flip. I'm using a razor blade in this holder here, but I don't flip. Once the razor blade starts to get worn, I'm not going to flip that razor blade over. I want to keep that same edge. Even though it's dulling, it stays somewhat smooth. I don't flip the razor blade over to use the other side, and then that's when you usually get gouges where you dig in. Just a little bit I've been working that area. It's already smoothed up some. Once I'm done cleaning this cylinder, or the cylinder head, this block, I will get a straight edge out just to double check to make sure it's within specs. And I can't remember what the spec is right now, but I'll look it up to make sure I use the right feeler gauge. I want to say it's 4 thousandths, but I could be wrong. I'm going to change out razor blades. This one's starting to get an edge on it. It's amazing how a new razor blade works so much better. Even the areas that I had already worked, you just kind of keep going over stuff. Also, once I'm done, I already drained the block of all the coolant from the drain plug, both sides, both left and right side. From all this dust that gets in there, what I'll end up doing is box screwdrivers. Just a second. I got sidetracked. Big chunk of casting stuff in there. Oh, got it. Wow. Okay. Once I'm done scraping and I have all this dust, I'll use a blowgun on the airline and I'll blow all this out of the ports and everything, and blow out from the between the piston and the cylinder wall, get all that out of there. I could put rags in there, but I used to do that and you'd still get junk in there, so I was still cleaning in there and getting a lot of stuff out, so I felt like it was a waste of doing that. kind of nice sometimes doing this just because it's quiet and you can be, well, I can get kind of too picky about this sometimes. I've gotten better over the years. I've learned kind of a way of doing this, but it's kind of a pain to do this job too, just because you're not making big progress. It's hard to see the progress you make, but once you start to clean, you can feel the progress you're making. Just with your fingers, just like right there, there's an area I kind of missed. This one, normally between the cylinders is where it's really tough to get out, but this one wasn't too bad for some reason. Let me get one more razor blade and go back over it all. Get this real quick. Damn, already been at it for 35 minutes. And you guys are probably bored as hell. Feels pretty good. Razor blade's really not catching anything big. We'll work on the last little bit of sealing areas where the coolant flows through and where it doesn't. I think at this point I'm going to suck out the oil. I have this big thing I got from Harbor Freight. I think you can buy it other places, but you pump it up and it will only had one that had a lot of oil in it. Normally there's more than that. Still a little bit of coolant in there. May do. Ow. I'll have to do this again once I'm done sanding, but it's worth it. I think that one's gonna work for me. Usually I buy this stuff in bulk, but last couple times I have not. So I don't know any particular way to go about this. The fact that you're using a block like this, you keep it pretty flat. But my thing is you just try to stay consistent and not lose the sandpaper. And that sandpaper's starting to get a little dirty, so we'll clean it off some brake clean. If I can find some. They'll have some out here. that sandpaper is about done. I may use a second piece, but let me clean this up and see what it looks like. Area right there is still pretty black. You can feel it groove. It may be high. I may need to work it a little bit more. You can actually start to see metal, and it's not just the rough, carbon buildup from the head gases putting, or the combustion putting soot in there. A lot of times too, if I know that I'm not trying to work an area on the sealing surface, and basically it's the final time, and I'm wiping it down over and over with rags, most of the time I get crazy enough that I will, spray it with brake clean, wipe it down, and I'll keep doing that with rags until I don't get any more dirt on the rag, or at least a very bare minimum. That area I want to hit some more with a razor blade. But, I mean, it's dirty, but it's not the worst I've seen. James, I'm using 800 grit right now, and I actually might continue with that 800 grit. I was also, if you notice, I wasn't doing just one consistent way. I mean, I was for a little bit, but then I'm working the area because from watching my buddies in that do body work, when they're trying to get a nice, clean, smooth surface for primer to adhere to on the car when they're doing body work, and then for the paint to adhere to, they never want to continue to sand continuously in one direction, because then you get sand marks. You can see that on poor body work. But in my head, I don't want to have consistency in one way. I want to give it a smooth surface and a good biting area for that gasket to bite to. Yeah, you can definitely open this up. Yeah. I'm able to work this area even more now. It's like the sanding helped knock off some of it. Wow, yeah, that's one heck of a high spot. That may have been one of the gaskets here that was really blown. But I can show you a spot here that I think is probably, in my head, is an area that is an indication of a blown head gasket. And you can see it on the block. Wow, that area was definitely, I may have to work this area again too. bought 800 grit sandpaper the other day, but I don't know where I put it. I may have left it in the truck. Oh, you're welcome, James. I got that area pretty good now. This area actually, after scraping, feels kind of like a low spot, so I think I'm going to leave that alone in that area. That feels like a high spot right there. That's pretty good. I like the feeling of this. Hitting it with that sandpaper definitely knocked a lot down. Let me show you what I'm talking about. Let's see, I cannot flip this around, can I? No. Too bad. Okay, so if we look, let me see here. I don't know if that camera's gonna bring it up. See if this works. So if we look around here, around the bottom of the, God, I just want to be able to see, make sure that you guys can tell. Around the bottom of this, I can see where you can kind of see the grain from when the block was machined from the factory. And you can see then where the head gasket set and it's sealed. And everything looks good here. This one right here might be an indication of the head gasket failure. You can see a little bit of soot black right there. But to me, this right here is a pretty good indication where it's really black. And it seems to always these, I think this coolant passage here, or most of these coolant passages are probably a little on the big side, and they probably should have been about half the size. Because if you look at the head gasket does not use that whole hole. It's a little bitty hole. But what I'm getting at is I believe that, I don't know if you guys can see, that the coolant passages are too close to the cylinder wall, and so it gives it a very small area for the head gasket to seal. And I see a lot of blown head gaskets in this area. So I think that's, I don't know if there's any way to fix that. Maybe on a billet block. What just happened? Oh, look, I learned something new. Ha! Okay. Let's do this again. So you can see the grains here from when the block was machined. You can kind of see the lines that run around from the head gasket. Those are imprinted. But then if we go to this one right here, you can see that black area there. And to me, that's where I see a lot of the head gaskets fail. On the lower portion of the cylinder. Don't know if it's a weak point. Don't really know why. But also I'm looking for, like this one here, you can see distinct rings all the way around it. But then this one, you can't see the ring in this area, and I believe that's from the head gasket forcing combustion, or the combustion forcing through that gasket. This one's got a little bit maybe, but yeah, I feel like it's always this cylinder. I don't know why. But that would be, what would that be? 4, cylinder 4. Okay, I'm going to continue finishing up. That's pretty much it that you saw. I'll probably hit it maybe. I believe I have some 2000 grit sandpaper that I may use. Maybe, well, that I have the 800. I may just hit it one more time, wipe it down, keep wiping it down. That's the one bad thing about working on these things. You always get junk on you. But I'll hit it with sandpaper one more time, keep wiping it down until my rag's clean, and I use brake clean on the rag, and then head gasket's ready to go on. So I think that's about it. I am making a video over basically the big things to look out for or to pay attention to when you're doing head gaskets on these trucks, whether it be clamps on the exhaust system, or ways to clean the cylinder head or block, just to make sure you got a good clean sealing surface. That way you don't have a repeat failure. Can't think of anything else right now, but I think I'll probably end it there for now. Dunbar, sorry, no problem, just rewatch it. It's pretty boring, I think, but I'm pretty quiet through the whole thing, which is not normal, because I was actually showing the process I go through for cleaning the block to get ready for the head gaskets. So I appreciate everybody for watching, and I will see you in the next one. I don't have any updates. Can't think of anything else. I appreciate it. Thanks a lot. Have a good day.